Hi guys, it's me again. Just want to do a quick video. I've been a little bit MIA lately. It's been kind of crazy with everything that's going on, and with everyone working from home now, I should be able to have a little bit more time available since we're all stuck in our homes. Um, can kind of see that as a good thing a little bit. Try to find a positive light to that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and definitely about stocks and investing and things that we should be paying attention to now. My purpose for this is not so much to tell you what to go buy, but to get us to think. A lot of times we jump on things without actually asking the questions we need to be asking to be able to find the right things to jump on. I'm one of those. I'm the kind of person that if you tell me that the red Skittle is the one that's going to be the most profitable and you throw out a bag of Skittles, I'm not going to jump for just everything out there and hope that I have some red Skittles in my hand. No, I'm going to go find the red Skittles. Those are the ones that are most profitable at the time. Give me the red Skittles. And so that's how I want you guys to start thinking about your investments right now during this time frame. So let's start with stocks. I've had a lot of people tell me that they want to go jump out and buy. I've read on Facebook where people are buying things. And my concern isn't that we're buying. Buying is good. It's that we're just jumping out and buying without asking questions. And we're basing what we're buying on what companies have done in the past or the brand in the past. And in some cases that may work, but it's not enough. So let's talk about three particular industries: auto, airline, cruise lines. All of them have plummeted right now. Now I hear people saying, "Oh, I'm going to go buy Delta. Oh, I'm going to go buy Royal Caribbean because it's normally like $180 a share and it's $30 now." Yeah, it sounds good, but what is your reasoning behind it? What questions are you asking? Here are three things you need to look for. Just basic common sense questions that anybody can ask. Doesn't take an MBA to do it. The first thing is, how are they making money right now? Let's take cruise lines. Nobody's getting on a boat. If they are, they're crazy. So if no one's getting on a boat, how are they going to make money to sustain? Yes, we have a stimulus package that may be released soon that will help, but can they sustain even with the help? Even once all this is over, what will things look like? What will be the new normal? Will people trust getting on a cruise line after all of this? Or will it take a little bit more time and a little longer for people to get back to taking vacations on cruise lines? That's things that we just simply don't know, but we do have to ask the question. Because if a company cannot sustain until things simmer down, which we don't know a time frame of that, they will go bankrupt. I'm pretty certain that at least one major cruise line is going to go bankrupt through all of this. Is that what we want? No. But the reality is that it takes a functioning business to make money. So even though a stock is cheap, it may be cheap, but can they sustain? So question number one, how are they making money right now? Even if it's just a little, if it's enough to hold them until things clear up. Do they have money, reserve money that they're sitting on that can sustain the company until things clear up? Are they laying off? What things are they doing? Now, we don't like to hear the word layoff. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for the person getting laid off. It's not good for anything. But in order for a company to sustain, you can't keep paying people and there's no money coming in. So what are they doing? Harsh words, but it's reality. And that's something that we have to deal with. As investors, we have to deal with the harsh reality of the way things work, the way things flow. Will they exist when the dust settles? When you choose a company, just because the name brand was great before all of this started, will it still be great when the dust settles? Will they still even be around? Questions you have to ask. What will be the new normal? I mentioned this earlier. Will the new normal be that we're more conscious of some things? Will the way businesses do business have to change permanently after the dust settles? And in doing so, will it cost them more money to stay in business? So their profit levels may change. These are just questions, not guarantees, but questions that we need to ask. Just three little simple things. And if you are weary or leery about that company, mainly on number one, if nobody's getting on the plane, how are they making money? So one of the gauges I've used for airlines is if Delta is offering flights, round trip flights to Hawaii, Atlanta to Hawaii for $15 round trip, something is wrong. But as you start noticing the pricing changing, as in it starts to go up, it's simple math, it's simple economics, supply and demand. Right now, there's more supply than there is demand. Nobody's demanding to get on planes right now. Nobody is demanding to take trips. Very few people are flying. When that number starts going back up, the price of flights will start going back up. That's when I'll probably jump in and start maybe buying into some airlines. And that all depends because we yet to understand what the bailouts and the stimuluses are going to look like, what the stimulus is going to look like for airlines. It may change some things forever. So those are questions that you have to pay attention to before buying. Don't just buy because it's Delta. It may not be Delta after all is said and done. It may not be American Airlines after all is said and done. You may have companies buying out other companies. So that's the other thing we have to watch for. So ask the question. Pay attention to how companies are doing business. So auto industry, that's the third one. No one's making cars right now. All development of new designs have stopped. No one's manufacturing cars right now. Everything has stopped. So with that happening, how are they making money? Well, what I'm paying attention to is who's adapting. Take, for example, Ford. I post this in the Facebook group. And if you're not a member of the Facebook group, please search for Streamline IG and request to be added, and you'll be added there. It's free. So with Ford, they are shifting to now in their factories, instead of making cars because all that's halted, they are working with 3M and GE to start making medical devices and ventilators. Now, what I don't know is how that works out for the company financially. But it does show me that they're adapting. And any company that can adapt is worth my time to spend a little bit more time researching versus those that are just sitting there with their hands folded and whining about what's happening versus trying to find ways to either help or to shift. So those are the other things I'm paying attention to and looking for in my research, as you guys should be researching as well. So what questions are you asking? What things are you looking for? As far as industries or markets that I'm currently buying into, pharmaceuticals, definitely. But pharmaceuticals is a tough one. It's not a area that I have expertise in. It's not an area that I truly trust my own experience and knowledge to understand how it functions and works. And being an investor, you have to be true to who you are. You have to be honest with yourself. And that's one of the things I am. If I don't know it, I just simply don't know it. I try to find people who do have the expertise and join in with them to get an understanding and ask their thoughts and opinions on things. And that kind of helps. So that being said, there's a company, there's a stock that has been released. As far as information concerning the stock, they've been around for a while. Based on the stimulus package and things that are going on, the government has given them a 7-year monopoly on vaccines and drug treatments. Can't get my words out this morning for the coronavirus, COVID-19. Does it kind of suck? Yes, it does. But from a investor standpoint, it made me go into a little more research on the company. Right now, they are worth about $73 a share. And before this announcement was made yesterday morning, they were already targeted to go up to about $90 a share. So now that this news has been released, that kind of put a little bit more of a fire under me to do a little bit more research about them and what they do and what they offer. Of course, they offer more than just this particular drug for these particular symptoms from COVID-19. The key here is that it has not been guaranteed to be a fix. It has not been approved as the drug. It just gives them first hand at being the drug. So it still has to be tested. There are high hopes for it. And the name of the company is Gilead. Its ticker symbol is G as in goat, I, L as in lamb, D as in dog. And you can look them up yourself. They do give dividends, so that was a plus. That was a bonus for me. It's outside of my normal window of paying no more than $20 a share for my dividend stocks. But if you cannot afford the whole $70, $73, $75 a share, buy it in increments. You can buy $5 of it or $10 of it, and the same percentage. So let's say it grew by 20%. You will still get 20% of whatever you buy of it, regardless of whether it's a whole share or a portion of a share. You still win if it were to grow. Now, what you do not get is the dividends. You get dividends based on whole shares. If you own 2.5 shares of that stock, you're going to get dividends for 2 shares. You don't get partial with dividends. So that's the downside to that, but you can buy portions of it. I am still looking at this one and keeping it on my radar. I probably will buy a few shares of it just to have, because it was already in the buy zone, if you want to call it that, prior to yesterday's announcement. And like I said, the government is giving them a 7-year monopoly. And what do I mean by that? That means that in the United States, this is the only company that can provide the particular drugs and vaccines that they're going to offer regarding the coronavirus. So if they're the only company, there's a downside to it for the average American in that the cost is going to be high for it. Just bottom line, that's what they do. Think of EpiPen. You remember when EpiPen was released and the cost of it skyrocketed? I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. But I could just see that happening with the company. So I'm pretty sure some are asking, well, how can you invest in a company that you don't agree with their policies? Because it isn't about them. When it comes to my investments, I remove my emotions from it. I try to. There are some cases where I just, hey, I can't do it. Throw up my hands. I can't support you. But in the end, I end up losing if I invest based on my emotions only. The purpose of my investments are for me to make a profit, and then I can take that same profit and I can help people. I can be a blessing to others. So I have to keep my focus on the purpose of why I'm investing, and let companies that don't do right by people. Everything has a way of coming back around full circle. So that's my view and take on it. Others have different views, but I'm very open and honest with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So just sharing that. So that company's name is Gilead. GILD is its ticker symbol. You keep seeing me look to the right because I wrote notes for you guys today. Had a lot to talk about. So where am I looking? As I mentioned, healthcare. Look for well-known companies that are shifting. And what I mean by that, just as I mentioned, Ford is now shifting to making ventilators and medical devices. Over in other countries, you have designers, clothing designers that are shifting to making masks. Look for those. Look for companies that are finding ways to not so much shift for the purpose of making money, but for the purpose of helping. Look for those companies and see what they're doing. Are they easy to spot? No. I watch the news, a particular news, because I'm careful of what I take into my inner being, because it'll drive you crazy. I.e. Facebook. I've had some days that I've had to shut it down because there's so many opinions and so much that's being said that are inaccurate. So I'm very careful about what I take in. But there are ways you can get information as far as financial information of what's going on around the world. One of the ones that I use is called Finimize. It's an app that I've downloaded. It's free to use for 30 days, and after that, I believe it's like $50 a year. And the first 7 minutes, it gives you a 7-minute breakdown of what's going on worldwide, 7 days a week, as far as economy, economy is doing, how the economy is doing, financial markets, and things of that nature. And that's how I get information before the market is even open. 7 minutes, that's probably the first thing I do. Well, one of the first things I do after I've gotten my day started is to listen to my 7-minute brief. So that's where I get a lot of information to know what's going on. And even things that I may share here is because I heard it on Finimize. So sharing is caring. That's one of my apps I use to get information. Energy and oil, I'm still watching that because it's not going anywhere. No one's driving right now, but at some point, we'll be back on the road. So to see how that plays out, I'm being very careful with it. For now, Saudi Arabia and Russia, last time I posted, I believe I told you guys about how they were having a bidding war over how much oil to produce because that's what determines the price. Well, it looks like Saudi Arabia won that war. So the price is going to continue to drop for a little while, is what I'm hearing. Good time to buy if you want to buy and hold on to something for a while. Don't know how long, but for a while. And that's completely separate. I won't say completely separate. I would say that that's a separate issue from what we're dealing with the pandemic right now. So something else to keep an eye out on. I am watching oil and energy. And of course, as usual, you guys know I love dividends. So who's paying dividends? If you're still paying dividends in the midst of all of this and you've consistently paid dividends, then those are the ones that I'm still going to keep my eye on and keep my hands on. There are some that I have bought, and if you're a member of my Patreon, you'll have a list of things that I buy out on my Patreon group that are dirt cheap right now. One of them is Maine. I've started buying them. They were $43 a share. Now they're down to like 18. Now, most people would panic. I am over here going, yes, give me more, because they're paying dividends every month. And they give 2 special dividends every 6 months. So that's a total of 14 payouts a year. And the price just got cut in half. So instead of running from it, I'm running to it. So that's how I'm venturing in my stocks as far as that's concerned. So let's shift gears a little bit. So we talk a lot about stocks, but what about the alternative investments? Before all of this happened, startup companies was huge to jump into, and it still is. If you think about it, after every disaster emerged something new, something great. It's the highest number of successful startups were birthed during recessions. So if they're being birthed during recessions, I need to be buying during recessions. But once again, the key to all of this is wisdom, doing your research, learning the market they're getting into, and don't shy away from something just because it's something you've never seen, never heard of, and something new. I was guilty of that. Someone mentioned to me about self-driving 18-wheeler trucks. No, sir. Number one, I don't want to be on the road driving with a self-driving 18-wheeler truck. It sounds too much like Terminator to me. Don't like it. But if you think about it during these times right now when they can't find enough drivers to drive, Does it make sense? We're not on the roads right now anyway. Who knows? So it's just something to think about. So I am really looking at startups that are trying to disrupt what we used to know, how things used to work. Because once all of this dies down, the world we once knew will not be the same. That's just a given. It's natural. That's how it's happened as far as history is concerned. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be flipped upside down and we're going to be flying in spaceships in the air. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it will be a new normal. So what was normal before may not be normal after all of this. Is that a reason to panic? No. For me, it's a reason to invest in things that make absolutely no sense to me sometimes. Um, think about it. When Twitter was released, to me, it was the dumbest thing ever. Who sits up and types what they're doing all day long? That's the way I thought. And many people thought that way. But Twitter exploded. And for those who invested in Twitter, they made a lot of money. So don't be afraid to invest in things that don't make any sense to you. Another thing that doesn't make any sense to me right now, and there is something out there available. I don't remember the name of the company. I have to look it up. And that's what I gave it a nickname of sale meat. It's not cloned meat. It is meat that was designed in somebody's chemical lab and passed off as meat. Not eating that. I will go plant-based first. But if there's a new normal, and if there were an issue, I could see that being pushed to be sold in our grocery stores. I'm not buying it. But for others, hey, who knows? So you have to step out. In other words, the whole point of this statement or conversation is you're going to have to step out the boundaries of what you're comfortable with, what you currently know, and what you're currently comfortable with to find the unknown and invest in things that will become the new normal. So those are things I wanted to share. So keep your eyes open. Don't rush to spend, and study history. It tends to repeat itself in a new package. That's what I have for you. So that's it on the investment things. Things that I'm doing to kind of keep myself preoccupied. I've been home a little longer than most. You guys notice I always wear hats on the videos, and that's because I had cancer, beat cancer, and then about maybe 2 months ago, they thought it had come back, and I thought I had to go through chemo all over again. And one of the ways that I deal with stuff is to deal with things. And for me, emotionally, it was like, okay, if I'm going to lose all my hair, I'm just going to start wearing hats now. And I'm going to find hats that motivate me. And so I bought all these baseball caps with things on them that were motivating to me. And thankfully, cancer-free. It was negative, false alarm, but I still like my hats. So I'm going to continue to wear my caps. I like them. They have meaning. So today's cap is love. That's what we need a lot more of right about now. A lot of love, less greed, less selfishness. So what am I doing as far as at home to keep myself occupied and keep from going, having cabin fever and going crazy? I read. I read books. Right now reading Originals by Adam Grant. I prefer Audible. So if you have an Audible account, sit back, chill, listen to your book. Reading is good, especially when you're an investor. You need to have an understanding of a lot of different things. You need to have a grasp of just the basics, if nothing else, of how things flow, how things work. I like this book so far. I'm only on chapter 2, but it talks about being different and not following the norm and allowing yourself to be different so that you can be original and create something new. And that's what this whole session today was about. So pretty good book. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'll post it in the comments below, the name of the book and the name of a couple things I think I've mentioned today. Other things I'm doing, of course, reading books, Netflix, Hulu. Yes, more than I ever have. Trying to find ways to exercise in the house, make sure I'm moving around because they closed down the gym in my building, in my condo building. So no gym. Other things I'm doing, I'll get in my car and drive a little bit. and come back in the house. That's about as much as I get to get out the house. Of course, working from home, which I was pretty much already doing anyway. But I did like the ability to be able to get out and go shopping when I want to. Shopping online, which I was already doing beforehand, just got a little bit worse. But we're taking extra precautions. Any packages that I have coming to my home, those boxes sit over in the corner to my left for 5 days. I'm not touching those boxes. I do spray them down and let them sit in a corner. 5 days, Demetria's rule. Definitely gloves, sanitize. I sanitize my doorknobs. If I leave out the house, I have a whole regimen for when I come back in. Wash the hands. Then I sanitize anything that comes in my house, including groceries. Anything that I'm not going to touch anytime soon, that will just sit. I'll let it sit in a corner for 5 days. Once again, I know that's more than what's recommended, but I don't trust them. So 5 days. Other things I'll do after I wipe down everything, I will then go and wipe down my phone with sanitizer wipes. I wipe down my glasses, my wallet, anything that came in my home gets wiped down. Anything I brought from my shoes to clothes, take them off. They have to go. I'm not throwing away, just putting away to be sanitized, cleaned. And after I go through my whole regimen, I wash my hands again and call it a day. Why am I taking all the precautionary steps? It's not out of fear. It's that I know that I am one of those whose immune systems can be a little slow sometimes. It can be a little off, a little low. So I have to take extra precautions a little bit, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. Actually, it adds to the day to give you something to do while you're sitting at home. So I'm thinking about having a live session where we can all get together and just talk. Let's talk about what you're seeing. What research are you doing? What companies are you looking to invest in? And how are you, most importantly? Because everyone, it can be a little struggle trying to sit in your home, and especially if you're home by yourself with no one there to talk to. So I'm really thinking about doing a live. If you're interested, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'll throw some stuff up there. We can meet on a Friday evening or something and have a little chit chat. You're not alone out there. None of us are. We can all come together, even if it's virtually. So that's all I have for today. I just wanted to jump on and do a quick video for you and tell you what I'm thinking about. You know, I'm always thinking about something. My brain is always running, so not like that, not crazy, but it's always running. So I'm always thinking about things, especially when I'm investing in something, just asking the questions that numbers won't tell you. So with that, have a great day and be safe.